Well, howdy ho, everybody. Howdy ho, everyone. Hello, everybody. Howdy ho, everybody. Are we live? Are we alive? Hey, Walrus. PD1. Slow motion moon buggy. Yo, yo, yo. Ira Roth. Hi, Ira Roth. Nice hat. Can I get a yes? I mean, no. You got the notification? Good. What's going on, Jimmy Jimes? Hola. Um, Based Peterson says cleaned your guns. That's a good. I think I saw that as a meme, but that would be a great shirt. Clean your gun, Bucko. What's going on today? Today's, rest day, day off. Figured I'd jump in, say hi to everyone before I take my kids to the park. Last night was brutal. My oldest daughter had, I don't know if she has an ear infection, but she woke up, said her mouth hurt a little bit, but then said her jaw, like here, hurt, and then she said her ear hurt, and then she said her whole head hurt. No, she didn't get a jab. Um, and it kind of sucked because even given her pain relief, didn't do the job, and so she didn't really sleep, and I had to stay up with her and give her nice, soft head massages. But it's brutal when you're a parent, not only seeing your kid in pain, but when you can't do anything, where there's nothing actually to do, and they just you do what you can and you can't do anything else. Oh man, it's brutal. That helpless feeling sucks. So that was a long night last night. Um, so I think we have like really nice ear inspector gadgets. And so, I mean, I looked in and it was definitely red in her ear. So I actually hope it's a ear infection and not something weird structural with her jaw or some sort of nerve problem because nerve issues are horrendous regardless of what age you're at. But you know, seeing your kid in suffering is horrible. Um, Thoughts on Baldwin? I mean, it all makes sense to me. I wouldn't put it past these psychos where they play a game where they like slip in a real round. I mean, that's the weird part is that considering that you're not even allowed to like as an actor or any given role on the set, you're not allowed to even pick up a bag or help move a microphone. It's so um, strict on your what you can and can't do. Yet somehow a live round can sneak through, and that happened before. I mean, that's how Bruce Lee's son apparently died. So there might be some weird sort of roulette game that's played every 10 years or something. Um, but it would make no sense. I mean, it does make sense because movie people are generally anti-gun and they probably don't know the safety and they don't know to treat every gun as it's loaded with a real round. They don't know trigger safety. They don't know the positions. They don't know where and when not to point a gun. Um, and Alec Baldwin is a perfect example of a complete, limousine libtard Democrat who is really big mouthy about all this stuff, and then doesn't do his own due diligence and understanding of guns in general. So, I don't wish things upon people, even if I think they deserve them. Alec Baldwin um, is it's pitiful. He's a pitiful man. And so he's ultimately uh, perpetually clamoring for relevance. So he's done his job, you know. And when you concentrate on that much. That's why it's important that we don't all concentrate on that ping pong game of the bad guys and good guys, because ultimately what you end up wishing upon your enemy, or what you end up sort of getting your cortisol and your dopamines from, celebrating. You know, you're setting up, you know, you're setting up a condition for irony. You know, like he said, I wonder what it's like to wrongfully kill someone. He's saying it. He's saying he's being facetious and he's being sarcastic, and you know, about a cop from like 2 years ago. He made a post, and that carries through. And I think it's something we all have to watch. So there's a lesson actually in looking at someone like Alec Baldwin to understand that the more you focus on vengeance or some sort of justice that has to do with those people and those people, or you know, this view that we're going to get somewhere. Jeez, who's that guy? Then you know, you end up focusing your energy on that, and that's dark energy. That's like low frequency. That's like vengeance energy. And it doesn't matter if you're on the right side. If you put that energy in, it's gonna be damaging. You know what I mean? So, whoa. I don't know what. I'm getting super spammed. I can't even put the user in timeout. It's like not even. It's not even. It's not even doing it. Holy spam bot. Bot spiral. How does he do it? Wow. Someone apparently knows how to do it. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, that's annoying. You know, it's perfect that that's happening, because this would normally send me into a rage spiral of like, how do people, you know, do this? How's there someone in in their little closet creating a bot, you know, getting off on this, you know? But they're apparently really good at it. Slow mode. So, anyway, I don't even know. It's almost like it's programmed that it doesn't matter. There's like endless, so I don't even know how to deal with this. Takes a few wrenches. How do you do a wrench? Do I make them a wrench? I don't understand. It's weird. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, live chat off. Don't give him a wrench. You make one of us a wrench? Does that mean add moderator? Does that mean make you a moderator? Okay, well, let's see. Don't give him a wrench. I don't even think it's a real person. I mean, obviously it's not a person, but some sort of code. Kind of impressive. Yeah, it is. Um, cool. Well, I guess it's worth giving people moderators. That's cool. Good to know. Um, anyway, probably some from some debate. Who the fuck knows? I don't even know who Jim Cornette is, but he's probably a legendary guy. Um, so I'm already booted from Instagram again. So I don't know. Sean Bot? Yeah, it could be a Sean Bot. Jim Cornette took the Polaris challenge. Exactly. That's hilarious. Um, wow. This guy's good. What sucks is that he's not even a person, so he can't. There's not anyone enjoying their ability to spam. You know what I mean? Um, Jim Cornette was a pro wrestling promoter. Was it really? Sweet. Kind of makes sense. I've been seeing these Jim troll comments on other streams. Really? Well, I apologize if this level of spamming occurs to other people. Jeez. Now we have another guy saying the spammer is a guy called Tooth Number 13, and that's now showing up a lot. So, wow. Can I hire this bot? Exactly. Yeah, this is some high level stuff. So, I guess, oh well. Not a bot, just the ultimate loser. It's amazing. Yeah, we did. I gave him a mod, but there's not enough. I mean, it's one other guy, but it's very interesting. Let's go to IG. I can't. They banned me. I was originally just going to go there because there was this atheist dude who was getting. Might be worth just turning chat off and just riffing. I did. Okay, here we go. Well, what else am I talking about? Oh, I was looking in. People seem to get a lot out of the light, the the stream about light, which I've been thinking about ever since, and I haven't come up with anything new. A couple of people, like Tesla said, light is just some sort of perturbation through some medium. Uh, but then again, wouldn't a perturbation be equivalent to a wave, like behavior or some sort of effect? I don't think we get to the source of the matter. So, in a way, light is to some level a reification. I don't think we're always talking about like gravity's non, space time can't bend because there's no property, but I guess some people are saying light, you can isolate a single property to light. I haven't seen that. I mean, what a lot of the stuff, the theoretical, the molecular, atomic level theoretics, they've only given names to a scale, to as a convention to talk about things at a small enough scale. So it gives us access to talking about stuff at a really tiny level. Um, but the fact that light can potentially exist without seeing it is pretty nuts. Like it's really crazy. And also just suddenly creates a potential issue with every claim made about light and its behavior through the alleged space vacuum. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what that means to reflect off of, and we often call it, oh, look at that light and the way it reflects off of that roof or tree, and how that's not actually an accurate one-to-one description of what we're seeing. We're just seeing the tree and the reflection, but we don't actually see the light. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. Crazy. What sucks about that spammer is that I can't find, there's no way to locate what and who and how. So, as to be that he's blocked in the future, I can't, there's no way to do that. So, it's kind of sucks. But I don't know. Let's see if he's back in, is he back in action? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, there he is. Yep. Unbelievable. Hundreds. How? Just how? It's automatic. It's intense level spamming. Can you turn on subscriber only? Let's say chat viewing options. Chat top chat. All messages are visible. Super chat, member and super chat messages. Oh, there you go. That's all I have is super chat. That's all they allowed me to do. Oh well. I might be able to turn subscriber only before I start the streaming. I might be able to do that, in which case I might do that in the future. Otherwise, Spammer's gonna have to super chat me if he wants his shit to be seen. So, it's funny. This is like the worst time to have a spammer because I don't have a topic, and it's a part of my, whoever the spammer knows that it's a part of my my thing to riff with the chat. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird that the top chat doesn't, it says such as potential spam may not be visible. Well, that really doesn't work. Oh well. Ask COD if he can give you access to the Speakeasy Saloon. You have to enable that in the YouTube. Yeah. I could restart it, but I have a feeling this guy's on to it. He's on the game. Now it's Purified Monster. I mean, it's endless. Call Jim Cornette. Unbelievable. It is very distracting, but I think I can get through it actually. Try exiting, come back. Jim Bob Cornette. I mean, maybe this guy can teach us how to spam. Thoughts on late 20s male virgin? Oh, that's good. Very rare and difficult to maintain. Don't block report. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say report. That's what you call an uncomfortable silence. Exactly. It doesn't, unfortunately. Oh, report. Gotcha. I mean, it's amazing. 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 Jim Bob, does David Patrick Harry from Cotel subscribe to the Flat Earth model? Cotel? What is Cotel? I've heard that name, but I don't remember. Oh, Church of the Cotel. I got it. Cotel, California. I don't think so. No, I don't think he's gone into that realm yet, because which is understandable from a lot of people. I understand. Even touching on the subject has consequences, and that if getting to the bottom of it, if you'll never get to the bottom of it, then I can see why people don't really pursue it. Like, because the thing is, even people who have pursued it and came to some conclusion, they're no longer in the game of convincing people or getting to the bottom of it, right? They're just they're moved on. They've gone on to what matters. And so I could see how some people just skip that step if they see that as the logical end. There's a lot of purists who say, no, it matters. You're no one unless you speak out and make the claim about the earth being a different shape. I don't really buy that perspective at all. But I know he's probably interested in it, you know. He's probably interested in the whole thing. But I've also caught myself doing that where it's like, the same method we use and I use on like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and all the critiques about like, well, he didn't mention this and he's not doing this. And, if he really cared, he would be like this and this and this, all these claims. It's like, even within a pretty cohesive truther community, all that happens is that gets whittled down. Oh, yeah, until he did this and he said this. Yeah, but he actually believes like this and this and this. And it's like it's like collecting your favorite trading cards and then you look closer at some of the attributes and then you're like, I don't even want this card anymore. It's not even in my collection anymore because look at this one attribute. And I don't know, it gets exhausting. All you're doing is making a colander where you just whittle yourself down to a place that's completely not Christ-like, which is all in-group preference completely. Whereas, like, no, you should be able to be comfortable in your faith and what you argue and what you believe and just be like, give everyone some leeway. Give everyone a chance at redeeming or coming to some truth, but not making that a make or break. I know plenty of people that fully buy NASA, and while I might make a judgment about their maybe unwillingness to look further, it's not necessarily a judgment about them being like dumb sheep or whatever. It's just a matter of how much time someone's going to go into looking at something, looking at the truth of the matter for something, the conclusion of which could actually make their lives worse, in the short term. Not to be like a consequentialist, it's not a moral thing. It's just that I understand why people don't just full on pursue what in the back of their heads might be something worth looking at and being like, I don't know if this is actual true, real. So, um, I don't know. Well, it's crazy that a person who, you know, garnishes about 90 to 120 live participants, that I would get such a committed server of spammers. Amazing. Obviously, it's just a program. It's just some sort of program that's really good. Ravel's name is Jim Cornette. Ravel could very well be a spam bot. I blocked him. He's Indian. I mean, do you need anything else to come to the conclusion that he understands computers? No. This is the test of faith on a live stream. It's a beautiful yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can. I mean, this is a perfect representation of the world. Like, you're out there, you're looking for people who share your views and values, and then the rest of the world is mostly this guy spamming, where it's just spam everywhere. It's just a poster of degeneracy. It's a movie about Satanism. It's, a rainbow flag on a church. This guy's everywhere. I mean, Jim Cornette is God is everywhere. So this is just a little bit more annoying because it's messing with an existing structure that has an expected way of operating. But out in the world, we just already accept this guy. We already accept this level of trolling, but it's actually not digital. It's just out there. They're around every turn. Just something else that is the spam bot. Jim Cornette is God. And it's good that he even wrote Jim Cornette as God, because there's actually some deep meaning there. It means that everywhere you look is another man claiming to be God, his own God. So it's almost like, who is John Galt? Like, this bot is actually providing some value, and he's not even a person, you know? Bot is effective, very disoriented. I'm actually not disoriented by it, because the pattern I see, he does a lot, and then you see who the real chats are, and I'm able to actually see them. The hard part is, pulling them back into view, and that's what's disoriented. But if you just take a breath, it's just like fine. So, Brickfinger's always here. I'll give him a wrench. Denmark was trying to confuse the bot. Yeah, I want to talk to the bot, you know? The bots of reality. Jim Cornette is actually an atheist. That's probable. Hey, Dan the Gamer. How's it going? It's going okay. We're dealing with, like, high-level bot systems that I don't even understand. Probably some schmuck who used one of those botnet for higher services you pay with crypto, the owner Kiwi Farms. Maybe. What I don't understand is how you're capable of making that comment with all of those you know, designs and stuff. There's been worse things that come and gone in this stream. Yeah, amen to that. It's literally a guy dressed as Hulk Hogan costume physically spamming the chat. Yeah, he likes it. He's making some art, though. Maybe I look at his stream. You can see what he's doing. The guy is brain dead. It has to be not a guy. Wait, he's streaming it? Now that's actually clever. It's like streaming your own destruction. The chat mRNA is getting altered totally with the gangsta spike proteins. And you scared of those other proteins in that sickness. And think about it, it's like we chilling over here and we in the gang, you not with us. And then that's where you program your gang to be like, no, you get on out of here, you won't get shot. And that's basically why you black people should take the injection, yo. What's his stream? Yeah, what's the channel? Oh, tooth number 13. That would be hilarious if he's live streaming, me live streaming and him spamming my chat. Genius. He's pretty good though. And by him, I mean Ravel. And by Ravel, I mean a computer that Ravel bought. Oh my God, block this bot? Oh, we've been blocking him the whole time. I think it's probably, my best guess is that it's James O'Keefe. It's pretty much my best bet. Who's also Ravel. Meth is a hell of a drug. Meth is one hell of a drug, you know. Meth be nice. Meth be nice. Well, I'm glad I'm able to piss someone off. Not that I want to piss people off, but it's a good indicator. Holy shit, he's real. He's really a real person? Meth be nice. Who knows? He's really streaming this? Is he? Someone leave the chat and get some screen grabs of it. Looks like a gay pirate, probably. He does have some weird signs. He's got the pedo spiral with a heart and then a tongue and then a heart. So he'll report his potential terrorism. That's hilarious. Wait, I'm confused. Who is God? Apparently Jim Cornette. You know. I mean, has Owen's stream gotten this level? I probably shouldn't even mention that. Jim Cornette's going to be like, what? There's another. I mean, if it's a real person, that's depressing. If it's a bot and a system and an algorithm, a technology, a disruptive one, that seems more probable. That means even the thing that you think you're watching that is a guy streaming or whatever is probably not the case either. Tooth number 13. Literally a person. I don't know. He's doing it though. Yo, Talking Trees, Jim Bob, I never catch you live, bro. Just want to say hi. I hope you see this. I see it. I see you. Thank you. Hey, Arwen. Oh, I got one spammer. That's really good, Arwen. I don't know what the deal is. Arwen, did you catch my stream about light? It wasn't on YouTube. It was on Instagram, and then I posted it to YouTube. And I saw a laser, a little demonstration of a laser operating inside a domed vacuum, and the laser disappeared. And it's not that crazy, because the idea that the laser is only reflecting off of some sort of particuli in the vacuum chamber. When you remove it, the laser still goes through to the other side, but you just can't see the beam anymore. But I was talking about how, and I thought this was interesting, is like, does that mean that light can exist without seeing it? Does that mean there might be light occurring all the time? It's just the particle needs to reflect it, and that, in which case, we're never interacting directly with light ever. Um, I don't know the consequences of that. I try to think about it, but I don't know enough of the current theory about light itself and what's verified and what's, pseudoscience and whatnot, to entangle myself into it and figure out what the potential logical consequences of that are. But it really is something I never thought of how, well, they just proved through that little demonstration that light can still exist without being seen. That means there is light, whatever we call light, when it reflects off something, whatever that source is actually going through some space, and it's undetected. So, and we're normally like, well, it's light outside. What's light? The tree, the house. Okay, what is that, a tree or is that light? It's the tree. Well, is it only distinguished as a tree because there's light? Yeah. Well, where's the light? Well, at the moment, it's indistinguishable from that which it reflects from. What is light, you ask? Light is that which is distinguished from what it reflects off of, It's like, what is light? Baby, don't hurt me. No more. It's like, what is light? I don't know. That's crazy. That's just crazy to me. That means there could be what is actually light could be still occurring in the evening. That's what that means. That means there could be light all around us in the darkness, but then again, I don't know if we can assume that, because it was specific to removal of anything that could be reflected off of. So how do you replicate that not in a vacuum? Like, how could you possibly verify? How do you go to a place in reality that's not a man-made fake vacuum? And so, is that even a measure of what occurs in reality? Because there's no observable vacuum. We make the vacuum. So it's actually not a scientific experiment. Also, obviously doesn't establish cause, but just the demonstration itself doesn't replicate anything we see in reality, because we don't see vacuums. We don't see a natural dome with a man-made vacuum hooked up to it that's pulling all of the tiny items that otherwise could be reflected. So I don't know what it means, but Arwen, if you guys should look into that. I would love to see you and your panel do a discussion on that. How does light transfer through a vacuum? Well, it's not a perfect vacuum, but obviously, because there's a laser pointing, the green is seen from where it's coming out of, the laser, the end, and then it's going through what is a vacuum perpetually finding its near zero point, and then once that beam is gone and you don't see it, what's happening is that the light is still hitting the end of the dome. So that means we know that the whatever we're calling the laser, the energy, the heat, is still going through. It's just that the beam, that thing we call a laser beam, is no longer visible because we removed anything it could reflect off of. So that doesn't mean that a laser can't go through what we know to be a vacuum, including space. It just means you could never see it or verify it unless you found the endpoint. So in other words, the bouncing of a beam off the moon or whatever, not a radio signal, I mean an actual laser, I don't know. It just means that light requires, to call something light, it requires something to bounce it off of to see it. But what we're calling the thing that we're seeing can't be identical to the light. That basic starting point should really offset any future assumptions or past-based assumptions about light and how we study it. Because what that means is that we're never studying light directly, ever. Ever. Even I mentioned the sonoluminescence, you know? Lots of non-visible spectrums, UV, other iterations of existence occurring simultaneously while non-observable by certain species. Yeah, and then certain species can see some of these lights and these things for whatever reason, not because. Does that mean? Then it also makes you wonder if there's actually, even in that little demonstration with the dome, that our eyes are just incapable of seeing at the particles per square million or whatever, parts per million, but another animal could totally see the laser and it never goes away. Like the beam might not go away for certain creatures. If I put my nighttime vision things, my night owls, at that same thing, I wonder if that could pick up the light, I don't know. But it's just fascinating. I can't get over the basic starting point that you're never interacting directly with light, therefore you're never studying light. Smile like you mean it. Please turn on slow-mo. See, I don't even know if I can do that on here. I'm on the mobile, okay? I'm on the mobile. There is a house in New Orleans. Call it the Rising Sun. And it's been the ruin of many poor boy. And God, I know I am one. My mother was a tailor. She sold my new blue jeans. My father was a gambling man way down in New Orleans. Now, mother, tell your children not to do what I've done. Spend my life in sin and misery. in the house of the second son. I got one foot on the platform, and the other's on the train. And I'm going back to New Orleans to wear my ball and chain. There is a house in New Orleans. They call it the Rising Sun. And it's been the ruin of many poor boy. And God, I know I'm one. God, I know I'm one. Guy's on a tear. He doesn't like singing, that's for sure. Hey, Jim Bob, I just found your channel recently. Listening to why I work with my truck brother, support my Buffalo, New York. Hey, I've been to Buffalo, New York. I grew up in Hunter, New York, Flip Flat. You know, Hunter Mountain, the snowmaking capital of the world. Thanks, Jim Cornette. You're doing great. Jim Cornette got double penetration. Absolutely. He got every vax possible. Totally a Mexican troll bot. Arriba, arriba. You ever been to South Carolina? Yeah, when I was a kid. I'd like to go back. I was potentially looking at North Carolina, but then a bunch of people were like, no, 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 it's going way left. Way left. It's a YouTube bot. I can't block them. I don't know. It's something. It might be YouTube. This is what their little people do at their work. You know what I mean? This is what they do. Bot is jealous of your beard. Absolutely, absolutely. Jimmy Bob, you have an angelic voice, unlike Owen's shitty voice. Owen doesn't have a shitty voice. I think he just doesn't really try to sing because he feels, he probably feels feminine when he sings and it's beautiful. If it's beautiful, he's probably like, ew, I'm gay. It's just not true. A lot of people don't give effort into their God-given voice, even though if they know it's going to be good if they just try. But then trying is very vulnerable. If you actually try to sing with your God-given voice, it's extremely vulnerable because you can be off or you can mess up or your voice can end up sounding slightly like, you know, higher tenor feminine like me. But I got over that. You know, I used to sing and then listen to myself and be like, I hate that higher pitch gay voice. And I want to sing like Johnny Cash. And I'm like, I just can't. I mean, I could impersonate that, but if I'm going to sing with my voice, Owen's voice isn't good. I've heard him sing where it's good. I think he just does a comedic thing sometimes where he just kind of, you know, it's almost like throwing away a line, how actors throw away a line. They're just like, I think everybody can concentrate on singing and their real voice will come out. I don't think that everyone's real voice is good necessarily, though. Owen doesn't need a great voice. It's true. Yeah, that's true. I know that's how I feel. I can play and sing in a higher tenor. I try to embrace it. No, you just got to embrace it because there's nothing else you can do. It's that'll be authentic. The alternative of singing like lower or trying to like match something that's not you, the inauthenticity that comes through is just going to be way worse than the gayness of a high tone, you know? And you have to just do it by singing. You find like if you sing a while, you'll find where your voice can maintain some sort of like what I call spit rasp. It's like a it's like a chopped up sound from the basically the phlegm in your voice. I think you should teach Owen how to sing and dress. He never wears denim. He never. Well, he wears pre-made shorts. I mean, you know, jorts. I cut them. You know, paying for really nice handmade pants that are made by even tiny Asian hands. You know, that's something. But paying nearly the same amount for them to make tiny pants they call shorts is insane. You just buy pants and cut the shorts. And then if you want, you can hem the shorts, but paying for shorts is literally grown men paying for tiny pants. You're just calling them shorts. But if you're honest, you're buying tiny pants. And you're just like, "Oh, no, they're shorts." They're not. Pre-made shorts is folly. That's funny. Yeah, I try to go lower and it's just gay. Yeah, you can't be like, hey, when the man comes around. If you're going to do high, you got to go high, you know? Vittoria, 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 mio cuore, non lacrimar più, non lacrimar più. See? You got to embrace it. Il scialter d'amore la vil servitù, Vittoria, Vittoria, mio cuore. Sai? I mean, that's why I'm not going to totally hate on James O'Keefe because he's singing and we're told to sing. So, in a way, he's doing more of God's work by just singing. Oklahoma, where the wind comes running down the freaking rain. Than doing any expose work. Oh, look what they said. Look at that. Planned Parenthood is doing gnarly things. Yeah, I know. We know. In a way, rejoicing, he's singing gay, Broadway songs that are written by extremely gay people who do terrible things to children, likely. But at least it's a start, just singing, you know? And then you end up sounding like other people, and you realize that that's how you sound. Like when I'm normally singing, in some cases, I have a similar tone potentially as Bob Dylan, who sang like a harmonica. I have this theory that musicians sing like their first, sort of prime instrument. If you listen to Bob Dylan, he sings like a harmonica. And if you listen to Van Morrison, most people don't realize Van Morrison was a saxophonist first. And he sings like a saxophone. Like exactly like he's playing a saxophone. Invisible light and inaudible sounds. Yeah, because there are inaudible sounds. Because it's not because the sound itself is inaudible. Now this brings up a whole other thing, whether our eyes and our ears, there's people some women and children at a certain age can hear things that adults can't, and vice versa. I forget what the frequencies are, but there are frequencies that we can affect our bodies that we can't hear, but that are there, that have that arguably have some level of cause and effect in our bodies, yet we can't hear them. So if your ears are limited to the frequencies your ears can hear, and your eyes are limited to the frequencies your eyes can perceive, then, not to get all like there's a multiple dimensional shit going on, but there is another dimension that that's sort of dances in between what we're able to actually pick up on. Mendulu. Wonderbob spoke about how he viewed prayer as a Lil Jim was hilarious. Oh yeah, the prayer. I looked at prayer as a negotiation with the bank. Reverse charge. Please reverse the charge. Yeah, negotiating. A lot of people, negotiate. But if you just do this, then I'll finally never do that thing again. God, that's not how it works, buddy. Guy is bragging about getting people to quit their accounts. Oh, just from him doing that? Well, no, he can't stop me, because this account, it's just a YouTube account. This is not my full livelihood. I'm good at ignoring it all. I mean, that's all that it takes is if everyone just learns how to ignore it, he won't get off on it, and then it just won't work anymore. So light and sound seem related. Light and sound are related. Yeah, that's proven through that sonoluminescence demonstration. The fact that two frequencies aimed at each other, I guess they bounce back and forth and at the right speed and rapid, whatever this is called, when this is perpetual, eventually creates a bubble that apparently caves in on itself and creates light like a mantis shrimp when they punch underwater. Apparently it's fast enough to create a lot of heat. Now, I don't know how they verify the actual heat, whether that's verifiable, that much, 7,000 degrees or some shit. They like to, oscillation, thank you. They like to say stuff like that. Who knows? But the fact that you do see a flash from sound now brings into question whether light and sound are inseparable or distinct. But I think that ends up being the case with a lot of things. It's funny how much is just alleged. Yeah, everything is basically presented in some analogous term. It's always a description. The problem is, and this is something Ken Wheeler accurately brings up, is that modern science has gone way into the world of math and descriptions and conflating descriptions of things as scientific truth, which would be the cause and effect of things observed through experiment. And so, they've trained people to think that, oh, I have a model, it's a hypothesis. And you're like, a model's not a hypothesis. You have this idea of how something occurs in a way of describing it. Oh, I'm going to create a model with a schematic and make the math work in between the things that I drew on the schematic. And if it connects with, this is why it's so circular, is that you can observe what's going on, let's say the heavenly bodies. And if you observe long enough, you can predict. Now, if you can predict from observing long enough, or if you have ancient documentation of observations over time, and that data will give you predictable observations. You still haven't done any science, but if you have that access, this is why statistics is such an easy field to manipulate interpretation, is because with statistics you can predict, but you can draw causal conclusions so long as you have access to prediction. It's like you know, Back to the Future. You know, the almanac. You know, if you have access to what's the future, a likely future, you're in a better position than others to sell the model or the cause of the future. In other words, if I had some unlimited data that most people didn't have on human behavior, on transactions, and I proposed a model, right? And I said, I believe this is what's going on. And someone was like, well, how do you prove it? And you're like, well, if this behavior shows up in the next week and a half, my model's correct. And then because of data and observation and the ability to predict with just having access to data with some lower margin of error, suddenly you can convince someone that your hunch about what's causing it is right because you have access to when and where said effect will show up. And this is the trick that's been done. This is Einstein and all of his gang knew this, that from thousands of years of celestial observation, as long as you can predict something, then you can develop some math to describe a cause that's not in reality. So all you have to do is insert what you imagine the cause without anyone holding you to the fire to produce it and its properties and behavior and isolate it. Then you just write math that describes the thing. That's it. It's tricky. It's easy to fool people. He's bragging about accounts with millions of subs. Rage quit their accounts. He's probably lying. I'm not going to rage quit. I literally have allegedly 8,000 followers and really only about 200. Like in reality. So it doesn't matter. Einstein means one stone, one testicle. That's funny. Also, the modern science community went way into communal acceptance. Oh, yeah, there are people even today that clearly they still use the word consensus, which is a good meme, consent science. You know, someone actually has that as a blog, I think, consent science. And they actually are doing it not ironically. Like they're not making a fun of it. They're like, it's consent science. But that's what it is. Some people actually believe, like T Pumper. You hear me, T Pump? Tom Jump, he actually thinks that consensus is science. Singing show tunes in the shower is a great way to warm up your voice. Absolutely. I was in Bye Bye Birdie. Oh, one last kiss. Oh, give me one last kiss. I need you now. When you get into a musical, you automatically feel like you've already been abused. It's almost like if you participate in a musical and you're like, they're like, sing, and you're like singing, and they're like, no, more Broadway gay. And you're like, nah, 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 nah. You could actually generate memories of being abused, I think, from Broadway. That's my hunch. That's my hypothesis. The observable phenomenon is a lot of gay dudes in Broadway. Hypothesis: just singing in Broadway and being directed in the general way that it's directed creates memories that didn't existed of getting fondled. You gotta be sincere. You gotta be sincere. I was actually mad when I later learned that show Bye Bye Birdie, that the Elvis character, who I was in my high school performance, um, was actually a mockery of Elvis. Like it was supposed to be like a slightly frumpy, not really Elvis, and I didn't know that. And that if I had I known that, and I didn't have to be actually like suave, lovable Elvis, but more like I'm a joke. This is like a parody. I could have had way more fun and made it more like, Tony Clifton, like more like out there, not like believe me. And I didn't know that. And that's just poor directing. Hey, Banjo Bear. Couldn't sing, but it was mostly Asian school. Oh, yeah. When I taught jewelry at the school that I graduated from, it was all Asians, and they learned American on the side, and they learned through American song, which is hilarious, and it's actually really effective. But it's really funny when you're trying to teach someone, and then the other room, there's a room full of Asians going, "Tell me where you're at, what I really, really want. I really want what you really want. Around. If we ever do it down and never share it now. If you want to be my robber, I'll get with my friend. Making robs are easy. Friendship never ends. Now tell me where you went, where you went. Why does theater happen to have so many gay people? I just think it's that sense of expression. There's probably really something to that. I think it's also pretend. It's like the concept that you can bend reality, the concept that you can represent what's true on stage and represent something that's not you, and everything's malleable. I think that's what performance itself lends itself to, but it doesn't have to be that way. I think there was a time period where all entertainment and art and architecture and painting and all this stuff was used to reflect a higher truth that would transcend. And then people got a hold of it, and like the Picassos and the people who want to turn it upside down, and the expressionists and the pointillists and the surrealists and the what do they call it? Dadaism, the Dada movement. Um, it started producing this telos of like, no, we know we've had enough of this absolute truth thing. We see it. We see the foundations. What we want to do is represent what we want to be true. And that's generally what we're seeing with all of mainstream media, all of Hollywood's narratives. They're presenting a version of reality they'd like to see and they wish was true and they think should be true, which is cheating, and it doesn't work. It falls apart because we know our discernment knows deep in our hearts, we know that something's not true, and you're like, oh, you forced the black and white relationship. Oh, you by policy you were required to have a nubby armed black lesbian paraplegic, and it's like it's so manufactured, but it comes from this place of no, we're going to change the truth by changing what's represented as the truth, and they fundamentally, that's their problem. That's what all progressives generally their problem is, or relativists, they think that the reality is the way it is because of the norms that are perpetuated through media and movies and stuff. The accepted norms. And you're like, no, the norms are reflected in the media. The media might be able to influence it in some way or another, like a sail, but it never generates the wind. It can only deflect some of the wind in the direction of the current. It never creates the current itself. The current is what's true. It's almost like the wind is just the wind. Where does the wind come from? Well, it's complicated. Where's the beginning of the wind and the end of the wind? Well, I don't know. We got a problem. So what's true is true. The roles of man and women can slightly alter given some trendy custom of a culture. But the truth of what a man and a woman is and what's embedded in us is true. So that's just a question of whether a culture is capable of suppressing the truth. It's almost like the race for cultural advantage to the terrestrial gain of ideology and how you think society should be organized is given by how well a society could suppress the truth. But the reality is all of the major civilizations were built on the basis of truth. Even if many had an incorrect God, there was still a basis and a reach for truth. That's why other religions, all different religions, have some level of truth to them that just follows through, which isn't inconsistent with one religion being true. And it doesn't mean all religions are false at that particular level, but they might be false at the absolute level. In other words, the beginning assumption or the logical end conclusion might be incoherent. And that's what I mean by false, is incoherent. And so, but the fact that different religions over time have manifest truths in, let's say, what is a man and a woman, that something's created, that we're creations, that things like absolute truth require a source because they're conceptual. There's a mind. What we see in the material isn't all there is. These kind of deductions are not, people could argue, well, they were older than whatever, let's say Christianity. These things are older. Well, that doesn't debunk anything. That doesn't actually refute anything. That just means that humans have always had the capacity and the ability to apprehend some deeper metaphoric truths, and the consistency in doing that across time, even before, let's say, Christ, doesn't actually refute any particular existing religion. In other words, looking at something and be like, well, that came from this, doesn't actually refute the thing that is also getting behind that particular belief or that particular aspect of a belief. In Orthodoxy, there's a term, I forgot what it's called. There's a term for specifically the provenance of Christian truth layered throughout all religions. And I think that actually makes sense to me. I'm talking about the moon a lot. What do you think about the sun? I don't know, because I never looked at the sun in any... I'm afraid to look at the sun. The fact that they look apparently the same exact size is mind-blowing. But it's not. From a creator standpoint, it's not. But if you put yourself in the materialist perspective, the naturalist, you're like, what? What? Same? find it odd how a man, when acting like a woman, acts, or a woman trying to act like a man. It always comes across as absurd. Yeah, the whole paradox of that, the absurdity, is that no matter what you're doing, you're arguably inverting something's original take, and you're trying to become this other thing. But all you're doing is you're establishing, reestablishing the binary. That's why it's always funny to, like, you know, when you look at the whole world of homosexuality, where you're like, so they're gay dudes, let's say, but there's always a more feminine gay dude, and there's always a more masculine gay. They're never just two, like, hey man. Like, that might exist, but it's never just like, yeah, we're just dudes. There's always like one, like, oh, I don't think I can like shrimp. Um, you know, they even have language for it. And the same with the women, where it's always the nature is to assume one or the other, and I'm the more masculine. And the expression of the binary of man and woman always comes through, even in those couples. And one's always impersonating a man to some extent. Well, I'm the man, but I'm not. I'm a lesbian. You're like, okay. And then the lesbians are like, let's go to the sex shop. And then you're like, we're totally lesbians. We don't like penises. And the clerk's like, well, what do you want? And they're like, I'll take a plastic penis, please. You're like, what? I mean, not to get graphic, but, a sex toy for a lesbian should be a penis-shaped vagina. That even doesn't make sense. It's like you're still dealing with the phallocentrism. Lesbianism is still phallocentrism, and so is gayness. It's just inverted. And my best argument, if you go to the moral route, you're never going to find any end in the conversation with an atheist, let's say. But a great position when you're talking to someone who's like progressive, or even like a Charlie Kirk, or these modern conservatives who are like, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, if you leave out the moral argument, because that only works with people who agree that morality exists, and to some level have a starting point of a morality based in a God, an existing God they actually believe in. But aside from that, you just go, it's really simple, you guys. And you don't have to do it hatefully and be like, you guys are just, like all this stuff. You just go, okay, what is sexuality? And they have to appeal to the ultimate, which is their God, which is evolution. And you say, well, it's to procreate, right? Well, what's sexual attraction then? Well, it's, in nature, it's what you're attracted to procreate. That would be the end goal, is to bring forth life, bear fruit. You're like, okay. So if you argue, well, homosexuals are just people who are attracted to the same sex. Well, okay, that's fine. I'll give you the attraction. Let's say I'll even give them, some people are born potentially with a greater direction toward being attracted to the same sex. But the problem is, if you agree that you're sexually attracted to the same sex, let's say you can't even control it, right? No blame. That's something you have to deal with. You can't have sex with the person you're sexually attracted to. And that's where it gets into logically inconsistent, irrational. You don't even need to go to the moral route, because I'm sorry, it can't be refuted. Gay people can't have sex. Two women can't actually have sex. They could simulate, they could invert, but they can't actually have sex, and they know this. So the big elephant in the room is, well, would you leave them alone? They're just sexually attracted to the same sex. And you're like, well, therein lies the problem, because something's off. If you're sexually attracted to a partner that you can't have sex with, how does that make sense? That's equivalent to being sexually attracted to a tree. You can't. That would make it normal for you to be sexually attracted to any object that you actually technically can't have sex with. That's it. You can't have sex. Two women can't have sex. No. Bumping it doesn't work. That's not sex. Strap on? Nope. You're not having sex. You're doing things with your sexual organs, but you're not actually having sex, and you can't. Gay dudes can't have sex. It's simple. They hate men but love plastic dicks. I know, it's funny. They hate men, but only one of them's always a man. You know, you're gonna take back the patriarchy. I'm gonna become a man. What? Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, masturbation isn't sex. Yeah, it's not. And that gets into other things that couples do together that aren't technically sex. So the same argument would apply, and potentially even moral implications. But the difference is acknowledging what those are and not acknowledging, well, no, I'm not going to lie and say, those things are equal to procreation. It's all about your honesty and like whether that's the case or not. But once you start lying and pretending and you start, it doesn't, and that's the difference. It's not about, obviously it's about behavior and understanding behavior and calling behavior for what it is, but it gets into all other aspects when it comes to like just general morality with anything. That's why relativism is such nonsense. Based on a relativist view, there could be nothing wrong with someone explicitly being against any particular behavior. Like you couldn't possibly ground it. You couldn't possibly ground the argument that you should not be transphobic or you should not be whatever they call homophobic. Based on a evolutionary, strictly material atheist point of view, there could be nothing ever wrong with anything, basically anything, but in this case, just being like, no, I don't, finding behavior disgusting or, cultures disgusting even. There could be nothing wrong. Let's be honest. Lesbian! I actually have to go to work and my clients are lesbians. They wanted me to perform their wedding. Oh, you're working with weddings too? Yeah, I do that, perform their wedding. I wouldn't, but they still like me for some reason. Well, that's cool. I mean, in my experience, lesbians end up being, for some reason, being cooler than the gay dudes. The gay dudes are just too aggressive. They just, they can't, the lesbians don't try to convince you you're a lesbian or like try to like entice you. They're not like constantly being like, you. They're just like, hey, dude, you do cool stuff, dude. Look at my Subaru, dude. Yeah, my wife. She's my wife. Oh, I'm her wife too. We're wives. They're not like, you're a lesbian, aren't you? You're definitely a lesbian, aren't you? Yeah, you just don't like us because you're a lesbian. Oh, you don't. Oh, hoodly daddle. You don't want to perform at our wedding? What do you? You must be a closet lesbian then. Huh. Unbelievable. Yeah, I see people coming to the store all the time. I actually have a problem. I've made wedding rings for gays in the past when I lived in North Hollywood and didn't have any conviction about any belief. But now looking at it, you're just like, I'm not even disgusted. I'm just like, it's all play. It's all playhouse. We're getting married, and I'm gonna be the husband and the wife, and we're deciding who's gonna walk down the aisle and whose dad's gonna give me away to their, and you're like, yeah. It just shows that human beings pursue foundational objective truth and seek the cohesive homogeny of civilized societies that base their society off of foundational truth and God and reason. And so they're like, no, we want a progressive world. And you're like, what does that look like? They're like, gays have churches. You're like, oh, I thought you wanted to take down all of the foundations. Yeah, we do, but we also want a church. And you're like, okay, so what else do you want? Oh, I want a family. It's like, I made a meme. These two girls were like holding each other, and they're like, we're going to take down traditional values. And the other one's like, and then we're going to start a church, a family, and something else, like it's like obvious that you can't get away from foundations, that you need to hijack them. You want them to still exist. You just want them to be your version. You want to keep the foundation, but change all the bricks. Make a different brick here, a different brick there. But you can't, because if you wanted your own foundation, you would build a gay foundation. What would that look like? What would progressive, LGBTQ foundation look like from scratch? What is that? What's the basis of truth? What's your epistemology? What's your metaphysics? What's your ethics? How do you know what's true? How do you know what to build toward? How could you possibly have a telos? Okay? You can't. You need to borrow from what's already been built and what's true. And that's why it's not really threatening. They could basically come in and take over even the churches. They can take over government. They can take over, and I don't mean just like LGBTQ. I mean technocrats, Luciferians. But you don't have to worry, because it's a bunch of people who reject absolute truth, but yet pursue ongoingly foundations that presuppose objective truth. So they want the foundations, but they don't want what's true. So that's why they eat themselves. And so you don't have to worry. You can point it out, but you don't have to freak out. LARP weddings, pretty much. And that exists in heterosexuality too, which is the only sexuality, by the way. I mean, we got to stop this nonsense. I see the trick. Once they created this, modifier, you put a modifier, like putting a modifier before a word. It actually perverts the word itself. It's like democratic socialism. It doesn't matter. It's socialism. It's like social justice. It's like, why would you put social before justice? And it's like, like Judeo-Christian. Oh, whoops. I forgot that's a modifier. Whoops. I guess I'll have to just avoid that one. But here's the thing. Sexuality. What is it? Let's talk about it. I don't really like to, because it makes my little tummy hurt. But if we're gonna be having an honest conversation, and that's what's necessary, that's why I'm here. It's like, I am the one to do the conversations. I have the conversations that having conversations about having conversations. And the conversation today is about what is sexuality. It's like, what is sex? How could we actually talk about what sexuality is without determining what sex is? And that doesn't mean just the action. It's like, what are sexes? What are two sexes interacting with in the act of sex? It's like, once these are defined, putting a modifier before sexual does not make it sexual. Like when you say pansexual, or people are attracted to people's minds, you cannot have sex with a mind. And if you did, it would be disgusting. You'd actually have to drill a very tiny hole in someone's head. So here's the thing. Pansexual, heterosexual, homosexual, object sexual. These modifiers are simply perversions, because there's only one sex, folks. There's only one act of sex, and it's between a male and a female, regardless of the organism, unless, of course, you're a seahorse, in which case you can go F yourself. My little tummy hurts. All right, you guys, I gotta end this. All right, pretty much off this whole week. So I'll be home streaming, packaging, working on books, finishing up paintings and whatnot. So that's all I got. Base Shapiro. I was gonna say, you guys, if you're doing impersonations of people, it's fun to poke fun at their weaknesses, but this is my approach is impersonating people and saying what you would like them to say. You know, what you think they could say if they were strictly about the truth. And I really believe that the best rendering of other people you might disagree with or have very strong opinions against their basic philosophies is present them as based. I think it's more effective than just taking the piss out of them. And I need to work on that with some people. But thanks for saying that, because Based Shapiro, actually, that almost, you would almost want to hear that, right? Instead of just being like, okay, we get it. He talks fast. He's a little Jew. He likes money. It's like, we get it. How many times are we going to do that, right? Or he's like autistic. But what if he was based? It's like, what if someone represented him as based to the point where his based character was more popular than him? That's the way you actually bring, false charlatans to their appropriate positions. Anyway, I got to go. I can go on with this forever. All right. See you guys. Thanks for dealing with the bot. That was fun. We defeated him. I mean, until next time, but I consider that a win. I mean, we stayed here, dealt with it, and suddenly vanished. Exorcism. Anyway, I gotta go. God bless.